But we also know, as we've talked about earlier this morning, many on the right and conservative media playing the disinformation game to paint an inaccurate picture of the president, including the front page of the New York Post today, which has a picture of President Biden seemingly wandering off in Italy, when really, as we showed the full video earlier, he was turning to congratulate and salute some of the troops, some of these who had just used the parachutes to come down and visit the world leaders. So how do you, as the Biden campaign, how do you combat this sort of disinformation, which is everywhere and seemingly only growing and spreading?
Yeah, thanks, Lemire, for raising this. I mean, first of all, we have to point it out where it is, right? We have to make it clear that disinformation is alive and well. We have to use surrogates and voices across the country to combat this and make it clear that not only do we not play this game, but to your point, President Biden was out there literally representing America at the G7, saluting our troops, you know, doing what he does as president of the United States. And look, we're going to see more of this. I mean, this is just the reality of campaigning in 2024. So we have to combat that disinformation. We have to hit it hard when it happens and make it clear that these are dirty tactics that MAGA Republicans are using because they can't run on the issues, Lemire. They have to use these dirty tactics like this because they are not right with Americans on the issues. So we're going to see more of this. We're going to do what we can to combat it. But it does take the voices of surrogates across the country. It does take the media to call it out. It does take social media platforms where a lot of Americans are getting their information to point it out as well. And we just have to call it out where it is and do everything we can to push back against this disinformation because we're going to continue to see more of it, and it's important that we call it out when we see it.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the mainstream liberal media once again because as I've told you guys when I did the story yesterday about Joe Biden humiliating himself on the world stage at the G7, this was on video. We saw Joe Biden wandering off during a ceremony involving skydivers in which Joe Biden was supposed to be with other world leaders doing what they always do during that ceremony. But Joe Biden, who clearly has lost his mind, was just wandering off somewhere. Now, again, we have this on video, but yet you have the mainstream liberal media coming out here and saying, no, that's actually misinformation. Okay, you should not believe your eyes, right? Your eyes are lying to you when they tell you that Joe Biden is cognitively falling apart, right? Your eyes are lying to you when they show you that Joe Biden is not fit to be president. He is clearly in decline, right? Severe decline. Now, one of the reasons why they're doing this is because they're trying to create a false equivalency between him and Trump, right? They know that Joe Biden can't hide the fact that he's struggling upstairs. So what they do is that they make up things about Trump and stories about Trump's cognitive decline, even though clearly if you listen to Trump speak, you know that the guy is not declining, right? He is pretty sharp, okay? Maybe he actually is as sharp as he's ever been, okay? Which is something that the mainstream liberal media tries to claim that Biden is. But the mainstream liberal media, they always want to boohoo, whine, and cry about disinformation based off a video that people saw of Joe Biden losing his mind. But yet, they never seem to question these random stories and reports about Trump mentally declining. And the latest story about Trump that the mainstream liberal media is peddling as if it's fact is this idea that, well, when Trump met with CEOs, some CEOs walked away thinking that Trump was rambling and that he made no sense. Basically, that, hey, Trump is in mental decline as well, too, just like Joe Biden. This is what the mainstream liberal media wants you to think.
I will say I was surprised. I spoke to a number of CEOs who I would say walked into the meeting being Trump supporter-ish or thinking that they might be leaning that direction, who said that he was remarkably meandering, could not keep a straight thought, was all over the map, and that they, which may be not surprising, but was interesting to me because these were people who I think might have been actually predisposed to him and actually walked out of the room less predisposed to him, actually predisposed to thinking this is not necessarily, as one person said, this may not be any different or better than a Biden thought if you're thinking that way.
This is what's crazy about that to me, that these CEOs, who in theory should be among the most informed people in this country, right? They have thousands and thousands of employees. They run multi-billion-dollar businesses. And somehow they were surprised that Donald Trump made no sense, was meandering, and seemed to be lost? How on earth could they not know that? All you have to do is watch him speak.
His degradation is so because you thought he was at the bottom before, right? You thought there was no lower that he could possibly go than where he's been. And when you watch his speeches, like, I'm surprised when I watch his speeches because he's always been a rambler. But now he's dug, like, I thought he was at a concrete floor. He's in China. Like, he's completely gone through the other side, and he looks terrible. It's like
but he's up against this whole wall of chatter about Biden looking terrible and Biden rambling as well. And so I think what's happening is a lot of people are screening out and saying, well, they're both sounding really old. And so we will look at the questions of policies and,
And the other thing is that he's been such a bully. And the people who
I like that you had to pause and think, he's been such a bully.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, like I told you guys, they're trying to create a false equivalency between Biden and Trump when it comes to this topic of mental capacity and capabilities to be president of the United States, okay? Because essentially it's already a wash when it comes to this conversation about democracy. Despite all the propaganda from the mainstream liberal media, people figured out that the Democrat Party ain't all that democratic, right? So Joe Biden's not really benefiting from the whole January 6th nonsense. They're not really benefiting that much from the Trump hush money trial conviction. So again, now they're on to saying that, well, Trump is out of his mind, and he's the one that's senile and too old to be president, but not Biden, right? Biden is as sharp as ever, okay? However, we do have a reformed, never Trumper CEO come out here and say that, hey, you know what? Actually, when I met Trump for the first time, I actually was very impressed by Trump and his grasp of the issues, which is the exact opposite of this report that's being peddled by the mainstream liberal media that when Trump met with CEOs, that somehow his performance was so bad that created some equivalency to Joe Biden, which again is based off some random report, okay, anonymous sources. But what we have here in this video is an actual CEO, a billionaire, Chamath, I can't pronounce his last name, Palihapitiya, something like that. I can't pronounce it. You guys should be familiar with Chamath by now. I've done videos on him before. But he met with Trump for the first time, and he actually walked away impressed by Trump, which would make sense because Trump has been a businessman and a CEO all his life. So you would think that Trump being in that environment would be a natural environment for him. Like, I mean, they all speak the same language, right? So again, what you have here is somebody who actually met with Trump, who was a never Trumper, anti-Trump guy before, okay, but now he's been reformed. His Trump derangement has been cured thanks to the Biden administration, right? And he meets Trump for the first time, and he didn't come away from it the same way that the mainstream liberal media is saying that other CEOs came away from meeting Trump. So without further ado, let's get into it.
I'll give you two observations. The first is that I think that there is a huge gap between how the media tries to portray Donald Trump and what he's like when you meet him in person. And that gap is really wide. And so I would say specifically to Democrats and independents, you really do need to sit in the room and feel what it's like. David is right. He is charismatic. He's intellectually sharp, and he's funny.
Wow. Again, this is a smart guy here. Okay, he used to be an anti-Trumper. Okay, he was not a Trump guy. He was a Democrat guy. This guy is saying, yeah, Trump is intellectually sharp. Okay, he didn't say that. Oh well, you know he's good enough, right? Passable. No, he said he was sharp. Amazing how when you actually get somebody that actually meets the president, that is a CEO, that is a smart man himself, he's saying vastly different things than what the mainstream liberal media is reporting. Because the mainstream liberal media, they lie to you. They just lie to your face, right? It's nothing but propaganda.
And when you put that together, he can engage an audience for a long time and be totally extemporaneous. The other thing I would say that he is very polite and he's kind in a way that was disarming and was not what I expected. And so I felt that I had misjudged him many years in the past. And so I was very glad that I had an opportunity to sit beside him and to actually interact with him one-on-one. It was really, really engaging. And so that's more about the style. And then about the substance, what I would say is it was not just a pro-America agenda, but it's very clear that he was pro-innovation. So he was really supportive of AI in the details that he talked about. He was very supportive of crypto in those details. And he's very much low regulation, low taxation.
Yeah, that's what I love to hear. Right? That's what I want to hear. I want to hear about lower taxation, lower regulation, pro-growth, pro-innovation, pro-America. That's exactly what I want to hear. And this is what I expect from Trump, right? That's the type of conversation I expect from Trump behind closed doors with CEOs, okay? Now, again, who knows? Because Democrats and the mainstream media that economically illiterate, maybe they thought that what Trump was saying made no sense. But if you actually really understand business, then you would understand that, yeah, Trump definitely is not a slouch when it comes to his business acumen. Like, come on. This is what the mainstream media wants us to believe, that Trump was talking business with business people and he sounded like an idiot. Come on. Come on, bruh.
And so when you put that together, it does stand very much in contrast with what the alternative is. And so I think that both of those things are a reason why, even if you aren't willing to vote for him, I would encourage everybody to experience what it's like to hear him.
Freeberg, your thoughts on all this?
I didn't go to this. I didn't go to the event. I don't know.
No, I know. Just big picture.
I'm wondering
our
why
bestie's hosting this.
I want to know why Chamath didn't wear a tie. Everyone else is wearing a tie. You didn't want the tie?
Chamath doesn't need a tie. He's a baller.
All right.
Do you want to say what Trump said to you when he met Natalie?
So it's us talking, and he says, "You guys are a really beautiful couple."
Uh-oh.
And I said, "Well, thank you." And then he turns to me and he goes, "Well, you must be really rich." He says this thing. And I started laughing out loud. Nat thought he was hilarious. So
because of the disparity in the looks between you and Nat is what he was sort of implying.
You guys sat next to him at dinner.
He said you punching above your weight, right? She only with you because of the money. I don't know, man. Trump is a hilarious guy. I can definitely imagine him saying something like that.
Yeah.
And was that like an hour just private conversation between the three of you?
This is the other thing that he does. He actually sits there and he says, "You know, folks, I'm happy to continue to talk about whatever you want me to. You feel free to ask me questions, or feel free to just go around the room and just tell me what you think." And what would happen is people would say different things, and then he would start asking questions of other people, and the thing becomes almost like this roundtable discussion of topics from, we talked about Iran, we talked about foreign policy, we talked about
deficit and debt.
Like the
Crypto regulation, everything.
What did he say about deficit?
Well.
What did he say about deficit and debt?
Well, he's very much he's very much on your side of, we have to really figure out how to get spending in order and get the deficit under control.
Well, congrats on it. Sounds like a success.
Yeah. So that's what I like to hear too, right? Because we definitely need to get that under control. But I don't have much hope that we'll ever actually really handle that issue the way we should, because it's just politically unpopular thing to do, right? To actually cut spending. But who knows? Maybe one day, okay? But regardless, again, you guys see the difference there, right? Between first-hand account, hey, I was there. I was one of the CEOs that met with Trump. Now, again, it probably was a different meeting, probably wasn't the same meeting. But still, this guy who was another Trumper, he doesn't have any real incentive to come out here and to lie about what Trump said or how the meeting went. This guy says, no, Trump was mentally sharp. And he has a great grasp on the details of the issues in policy, in substance, which is the exact opposite of the narrative that is being painted by the mainstream liberal media based off unverified, anonymous reports that nobody can say for certain whether or not it was actually true. But the mainstream media peddles this as if, oh, it's fact. But yet when you see a picture of Biden or a video of Biden clearly losing his mind, oh, no, that is misinformation. That's disinformation. Don't believe your eyes. Your eyes are lying to you. But we're telling you the truth that Trump sounded like an idiot in a meeting with CEOs, right? Just trust us. We don't have any video. We don't have any evidence to back it up. Just trust us. And then lo and behold, you have a CEO come out and say, yeah, well, actually, that's not the case. Trump's actually pretty sharp, right? Again, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. You have to be an idiot, a dummy, to fall for the nonsense, for the tomfoolery from the mainstream liberal media and the Democrats. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.